So, Dad, I was wondering if you had any advice for parents who have lost a child to suicide.
Children are prone to suicide?
No, if you have any advice for parents who have also lost a child to suicide.
Well, I think you have to accept
Right?
that it happened. And I think that if you share with other people who have the same problem, that it helps. And when you try to help somebody else, it helps you.
Like depressed people or other people with the loss?
Other people with the loss.
Have you talked to anybody else who's had the same loss?
No, not really.
Ever?
I went to a meeting with you one time.
Oh, would you want to go again?
Well, sounds exciting.
Do you feel like it broke your heart when you lost your son?
Well, you never get over it. I mean, you put it out of your mind.
Do you ever think about Yuki?
In my personal opinion, I thought he was very foolish. Because he had everything to live for.
I agree.
Physical health. Was a nice looking young man.
Well, he actually did not have his physical health because he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
A lot of physical pain and mental pain. Well, what would your advice be if someone knew that their child was suicidal? And what would you tell them? How would you tell them to help their child? What would you have done if you could have helped Yuki?
Get him involved in a self-help program.
He did. I took him to the mental hospital. He was there for probably like 3 weeks, and then he did an intensive outpatient program every day that he graduated from. He signed a contract saying he wouldn't do it, and he told me he wouldn't do it, and that he wanted to become a psychologist and help other depressed people, and he wanted to get married and have children. A week before he died, he told me that.
I wonder what made him change his mind.
I think, well, he was misdiagnosed and he was taking antidepressants, and one of the side effects of taking an antidepressant when you're bipolar without taking a mood stabilizer or antipsychotic is that it can make you suicidal. So I think he just kind of lost his mind. I really do.
Well, I think when you're in pain, when you're in constant pain.
That's right. You want the suffering to stop.
Right.
Have you ever felt suicidal in your life?
Not really.
No? That's very unusual. Most people have.
Well,
At some point in their lives, because I know when Kimmy died in January, and it was right around Thanksgiving before she died, and we knew she was going to die. I wanted to tell her that Yuki had killed himself because I thought, well, when she gets to heaven and sees him, I just wanted her to not be surprised by that if it comes up. So we were at dinner, and I said, I know that I told you that Uncle Yuki died because he had a brain disease, but I wanted to wait until you were older to let you know that he died because he was very depressed and he committed suicide, or he completed suicide is the way you're supposed to say it. And she said, she thought about it, and she said, have you ever thought about committing suicide, Mommy? And I said, well, I have, Kimmy. And I said, I think most people at some point in their lives do think about how hard living is and they don't want to do it anymore. I said, have you ever thought about suicide, Kimmy? And she said, well, Mommy, I really don't want to live anymore, and I have thought about it because now I can't walk. And she said, I miss riding my horse, and I miss being able to do ballet, and it really shook me up. And I think that's when she quit fighting the cancer, and I think that's why she ended up dying. Did you see in my mother how depressed she was? No? She used to spend like the days in bed, right?
I never noticed that. I was never home.
That's true.
was always
That's a
working.
valid point. But I think Mom had a real problem with major depression.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
She wasn't happy.
She was depressed.
She was never happy.
Well, if you think about it, she moved to a foreign country where she didn't really speak the language that well. She didn't have her family support, because she got disinherited when she married you. That's very difficult for people. And I think her dad probably had, and her brother had issues with depression, right? I don't know about her dad, but I think her brother did. So, and 4 kids is a handful. I know 2 kids is a handful. And you guys really didn't get along that well. Do you have any advice?
To whom?
I don't know. Something from your 89 years of living.
Well, I think that your religion, that's a lot to push through.
I agree with that. I don't think I would be here without religion.
Right. And prayer, that the idea is you're never alone.
Right?
If you have God, you have Jesus, you always have somebody to talk to and someone to cast your burden upon.
Well, I'm very grateful because I think that one of the gifts that you and Mom gave to me was my faith. We always went to church and we always prayed, and I know that I always taught Kimmy that. So I know that when, as hard as it was to lose her, I know that I just know she was welcomed into heaven, and she's with Yuki and my grandma and Obachan, and and I'm looking forward to seeing her. And I hope you're probably going to get there before me, so I want you to take care of her for me.
You never know.
That's true.
You never know.
Okay.
Our whole life can change in the blinking of an eye.
We could get in a car accident driving back to your house, so that's why you have to appreciate life. And I do see you as a person, and Mom too, I think, that really appreciated life. I know I appreciate how hard you work for your family. I know that you work 2 jobs. We never got to see you, and I'm sure that must have been really hard to not see your kids. I know that we always knew how much you loved us, and it was always such a treat to spend time with you. And I always remember that we would go on vacation to Minnesota. You would take time off, and we would drive all night. You would drive all night to Minnesota, and we'd all sleep in the back. What is your favorite memory about your mother?
My mother?
Mm-hmm.
I think a child always wonders, whether they're loved, right?
Really? You wondered if your mom loved you?
It's normal. Everybody does.
I thought Grandma was really loving, but okay.
Yeah, she was really loving.
I hope Kimmy never wondered if I loved her. I don't think she did. I told her every day that I loved her.
Well, see, German people
are not loving. Japanese aren't either, actually.
Aren't like that.
Right. They don't express their emotions. So you wondered what were you to say your memory was?
One day, we never had any money, right?
Right.
And she took me to Riverview.
The park, the amusement park.
Only me.
Mm-hmm.
And took me on all these wild rides.
Oh, how fun!
The Blue Streak, the Silver Flash.
Mm-hmm.
And I was scared, because they're open. You're like, there's nothing there between you and what's going on.
Right.
But that proved to me that she really loved me. That she made special effort to make my day, so very nice.
What do you think that your mother did for you that helped you achieve so much in your life? I mean, you got a master's degree in teaching, and then you went to culinary school, and you're such a hard worker. Where do you think you learned? You didn't learn from your dad because he wasn't around, so where do you think you learned that?
Well, my mother always read at night.
Really? I didn't know that.
And her books were 2 big purple volumes of medical information.
Wow.
She could diagnose any illness.
Wow.
I mean, for an average person, it's amazing that she had that knowledge. But she never was ostentatious about her knowledge.
So she must have been a smart woman.
Basically, yeah.
But she never, she didn't go very far in school. Did she finish high school?
I'm not sure.
I don't think she did. I looked on that census report and I don't think she did. I have another question for you.
Yes.
Do you think that you are a good father and were a good father when we were children?
Oh, I think I was a very good father.
Why?
Because I love children. And I love making other people happy.
It's true.
I remember the first summer that I worked for the Board of Education, I worked in a place where they got all kinds of new material.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they were finished examining it, you could take it home if you wanted to. And I brought you home a lot of recordings that you could listen to on a tape recorder.
Uh-huh. Oh, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
You know, when you went to bed, you had your own storage of nighttime stories of quality.
Yeah.
That you could listen to.
Well, I think the best thing you can do for a kid is to show them how enjoyable reading is. And I don't think you can just tell them. I think you have to show them.
Right.
So I know Mom, I don't remember her ever really reading much, but I know you always read, and I always felt so lucky that my dad was a librarian. So I always had the pick of the best books and all the new magazines. So that was pretty cool. Do you remember you always used to tell the story when I was a little girl? We went, I think, to the lakefront or downtown, and you found a box from a doll, and you put me in the box,
I remember
and
that.
I fell asleep.
That's right.
And you were sitting in the back of the bus, and everybody said, "Oh, what a beautiful doll,"
Everybody thought it was a doll.
but it wasn't a doll.
Sure. I still remember the costume that you were wearing.
A Japanese costume or
No,
a
it
dress?
was two pants and a top.
Oh,
And the bottom was aqua, and I think the top was yellow with all kinds of different colored balloons on it.
okay. I got a question.
Yes.
Who's your favorite child of your 4 children?
Well, I was brought up by my mother
Mm-hmm.
not to show partiality. She always treated us the same.
Mm-hmm.
And the way I treated my children the same was, we celebrated 4 birthdays a year.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody,
4 birthdays each time there was a birthday. We celebrated everybody's
but
birthday.
you still celebrate, and you got presents with,
Right.
the other person. And you always got the same gift. So nobody could ever say, oh, you know, he bought me something better than you. Because you all got the same gift for the same birthday.
Okay. When's my birthday, Dad?
I don't know.
Do you don't remember
June.
the birth of your first child?
June?
Nope. That's M. It was in the spring. May
May.
17th,
May.
1966. Were you at the did you go to the hospital when I was born?
Yeah, but at that time they didn't.
No, they don't let you in.
Didn't let you in.
Do you remember the first time you saw my face?
No.
You don't remember that? That is so sad.
I remember you cried a lot
Really? When I was a baby?
when you were a baby.
Huh. Did you change my diapers?
I imagine I did. Yeah.
I remember when you came home with, I think it was Miyako. We were living at 2066, and I said, "Where's the baby?" And it was so tiny. You said, "She's right here," and I didn't even notice her in your arms because she was so small. And isn't it crazy in those days you didn't put them in car seats or anything? You just put the baby in your lap and rode around. Oh my gosh, do you remember that one time we were sitting in the back of the car and you stopped on the Lakeshore Drive, I think, and all the kids
Everybody
flew
flew to
into the front of the
to the
car.
windshield.
Into the windshield. Oh, and then, do you remember this one? You got pulled over by a police officer
Snowstorm.
for, I think you went through a red light and you said, "Officer," the windows were down and the hair was blowing in the wind, and I was so distracted, and you got out of the ticket. I remember that. He must have had children.
I know the first ticket that I was supposed to get was like making a left-hand turn, but you only can turn on the arrow.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get a ticket.
How old were you when you got your driver's license?
Oh, I was old. I would say at least 35.
Oh, really? Wow. So you've had a car and you've not had a car. Do you miss not having a car? Not driving?
Well, you'd like to have it, but it's a pain in the ass in reality. You have to park the car,
For
to
gas?
the garage.
Maintain it? Wash it? What is your biggest regret in life?
I guess we could.
Yeah, what is your biggest regret? Does it start with the name Mary?
No, I think, I'm a person, you make decisions and you stick to your decisions.
If you had the chance to do live your life over again, would you do anything different?
Oh, definitely.
What would you do different?
I would start dancing when I was about 9 years old. But I didn't come from a family that was
No.
educated.
Right?
A lot depends upon that.
It does. It does.
I always had the desire, but there was no
Opportunity.
encouragement.
Opportunity, probably.
And money.
Money to pay for
Didn't
it.
have money.
Do you think out of all your friends that you were the most handsome when you were young?
Oh, I never thought that.
No? Well, I'm not saying you thought that, but do you think that was true? Because you're a very handsome one.
I
You're
know.
still very nice looking, but
I never felt that way.
I heard all the girls just flocked to you.
Oh, yeah, I had a lot of, no problem with girls.
Do you remember asking my mother to marry you?
No. Oh, I probably was in a letter.
Do you remember your wedding day?
Terrible rainy day, terrible storm.
Do you remember who was your best man?
Yeah.
Wasn't it your brother Victor?
No.
He was in the wedding though.
He was in the wedding,
Who was your best man?
It was a fellow that I knew from the YMCA.
Huh.
He became a policeman. And he got married and had 2 children. I didn't know that when you stand up for somebody's wedding, that you have to reciprocate. I didn't know that.
Oh. Did he ask you to stand up in his wedding?
Yeah.
So you stood up in his wedding too?
Yeah, I stood up at his wedding first, and then when I got married, I didn't know about it. It was my obligation to ask him to be my best man.
Kind of works that way, yeah. Well, you were his best man? Oh. Why do you think you stopped talking to your brother?
My brother, he was 4 years older than me, and he lived in a different society than I did. His friends were different. He hung around with, I would say delinquents.
Oh, he ran with a bad crowd.
He ran with a bad crowd.
But you used to live in the same apartment, like 2066. Didn't he live in the other apartment?
He lived there first. He was in the back apartment. And then I moved into the front apartment.
So you must have been kind of close if you're willing to live in the same, apartment with him, basically.
We really didn't have any, like we're talking, we never talk like that.
Are you sorry that you lost contact with him and that now he's passed away?
Well, never had contact with the guy, so you can't miss what you didn't have. He was always, more for himself.
All right. You got more?
He married a girl one time, a Jewish girl. And the big debate was she left the refrigerator door open when she served breakfast. And he couldn't take that. That was the cause.
That would be very annoying.
That was the cause of dissolution. And she was an intelligent woman, Jewish lady, and had a good job. And so she just they lived in the building next to my grandmother. So one day she just had a truck pull up, and took all the furniture was hers, and she left. And it was Shirley.
Shirley.
And then one time I saw her in the subway. I was on the subway going down to work. I saw her in the subway, and I went up to her between stops, And she got terrible frightened. She got off the next stop.
Oh, you fought with her?
No.
Oh.
She was so frightened.
She was frightened of you.
Frightened of anybody related to my brother.
Okay, I have one more question and then I gotta go.
Okay.
You're 89 years old.
Yes.
You've been married twice.
Yes.
I guess technically you're still married.
Right.
Technically.
20 years.
Would you consider getting married a third time?
Oh, definitely.
Definitely.
if the price was right.
Right, that's right. Well, do you think that you met your soul, that you've been with your soulmate yet for this lifetime, or are they still out there? You think Mom was your soulmate?
No,
No. Was
Definitely
Mary
not.
your soulmate?
definitely not. But I did know a Jewish lady.
Not Rosalie.
No, not Rosalie. But this was a Jewish lady that I knew, who introduced me to the spiritual church
Here?
in Chicago.
Okay.
And her son, she had 2 sons and a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And one of her sons became the lawyer who defended that boy who that they wanted to take back to Havana, Cuba.
Uh-huh.
He was the lawyer
Uh-huh.
who was on the American side.
Hmm.
And he was very, very wealthy. But unfortunately, their children are all nuts. But aren't we all?
A lot of people are nuts. Yeah, I think we all are nuts a little bit.
Yeah. The lawyer, all 3 children got married and all had a daughter at 9 years, that was 9 years old. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The daughter married a man from Israel who she met on a trip to Israel.
Uh-huh.
And he was strange because he sexually molested his daughter in the,
We
in the
don't wanna hear
synagogue
about
on Saturday morning.
Yeah. It's not a good story to share
No.
to your fan base.
But anyway, then the other fellow was in Korea, handsome man, looked like Omar Sharif.
Mm-hmm.
And he became a dope addict
Oh, that's a shame.
because he had been in Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
But he had all kinds of women. And then the Jewish guy, the lawyer, they'd all been married, but he had been married but divorced.
Guess what?
And he was so perverted that he permitted his daughter to watch porno the whole weekend.
It's not a good subject.
You don't do that with your you don't do it with any child,
We
especially.
don't need to talk about that on video. We can
Oh.
talk about it later.
Okay.
Let's keep it lighthearted.
I think I'm going.
So I think maybe next time we'll talk about Israel. I want to hear about Israel.
Okay.
So you have to go back into your memory bank so you can share some stories. All right, say goodbye to your fans.
Goodbye, fans.
Not tomorrow.